Yo, what is up, guys? It's Pedro here. The Washington Commanders fall to 3-7, get absolutely obliterated by the Detroit Lions, 44-22, get doubled up again for the second time in 4 weeks. I mean, just absolutely pathetic game by the Washington Commanders. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, do all that good stuff. We're gonna have a lot of conversations about Joe Witt, Adam Peters, Dan Quinn, a bunch of different stuff. This game was an absolute, show. 44-22. This defense sucks. I think the Commanders have lost 4 straight games by 21 or more. That's the most in 23 years in a row. And that's just the state of the Washington Commanders. But it's been an absolute pathetic start to the season for the Washington Commanders. I mean, not even start. The whole season, basically, besides the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season, was bad. And, no major injuries today, which I guess that's good. I mean, Trey Amos had an injury. He was out. We'll see what happens there. But besides that, nothing too bad. I know Frankie Louvu got hurt, but I believe he came back in. Let's talk about the culture, man. The culture that Dan Quinn, he doesn't use the word as much as Ron Rivera, but, he definitely uses it. And he was asked about it last week and, this past week and said it's still good. That's not a problem. Well, I don't know, man. You got Deron Payne with a 15-yard penalty. You have Quan Martin with a 15-yard penalty. Deron Payne, throwing hands at a guy with the helmet on. I mean, I don't care who it is. I mean, you can't do that. And then Quan Martin with the penalty. Someone else had a penalty on the Commanders as well. I'm not sure exactly. Oh, it was Kinlaw too. And he was talking ish, when they're getting beat. I don't know what he's doing. Mikey Sanders still just playing like a bum, man. I mean, I'm keeping it real. And who knows? I mean, he seems like a great guy, and hopefully, family man and everything like that. And, hopefully he's able to bounce back next year. But, I mean, he allowed 2 touchdowns this game, and he was just bad, man. There's no other way to put it. And, I mean, no one really on the defense was showing up today. I'm not giving, game balls to anyone. Ale Cajo was, made a nice tackle on special teams and got a concussion. That's just how the Commanders season has been going, man. Second concussion of his rookie season. Really, really unfortunate there because, that he's probably out for the year. And then I don't know after that. Who knows if he wants to continue playing, and he'll probably still give it a try. But you know what I mean. It's definitely brutal. And then like I said, no one else deserves any praise on defense. It was just pathetic all the way around. 0 sacks and no takeaways, and just allowing play after play after play. Jahmyr Gibbs averaging 10 yards a carry. Khalif Raymond 10 yards. Dave Montgomery, 5 yards. I mean, come on, let's keep it real, man. Jamison Williams, 120 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 60. Laporta, 50. I mean, they were just playing around with us, man. Playing with us. And they could have put up more against us. They really could have, just like the Seattle Seahawks could have. And 44-22. The offense was fine. I mean, the offense, even with everyone out, the offense was fine in this game. And I think, they will be fine in the future with Jaden back and, a healthier season, healthier team, but I guess season works too. They'll be fine. Maybe not where you want them to be, but with, Jaden healthy, Terry, Debo maybe back next year, and some of the, pieces you have. I thought the offensive line actually played pretty well today. Connerly had 2 false starts. I thought besides that, though, he kept Aiden Hutchinson in check, so shout out to him there. But let's talk about Dan Quinn, and he's coaching like a wuss, man. I mean, I don't know exactly what the situation was, but it's 4th quarter, and I don't know exactly, again, the situation, where they were and how many yards they needed. It might have been like 5 or something, but you punt and the game's over. You try to score. I mean, it's just, why are you punting? And then you punt and they score a touchdown in a few plays. It's just it's pointless to punt with this team unless you're backed up at the 10 and it's the first drive of the game. But after that, once you're down with the defense we have, you should never punt unless you're inside your own 25. And even then, who gives a what? I mean, it doesn't matter, because here's the thing, right? Yeah, let's say you don't get it at your own 25. Guess what? The Lions were going to score from wherever you gave them the ball. They went 7 for 7 today, I believe, on drives. Maybe I don't know on the last drive because Kyle Allen was in and they just, they were done. but they scored whenever they wanted. So again, I just don't understand the punting philosophy with Dan Quinn. He's not coaching like he was last year, and I don't feel good about Dan Quinn. Here's the thing, and I always seem to do this, especially with big moves, big decisions that this team's made in the past. Like originally, I don't like the move, and then I kind of start warming up to it a little bit. And that's what happened with Dan Quinn. I didn't love the move. I really wanted Ben Johnson. Mike McDonald was my number 2. Really wanted him, and it's still early. I mean, and you also, Dan Quinn had a great year last year, and then this year it's been really bad, but it's been really, really, really bad. I mean, the bad is the bad is just about as good as the good was. I mean, they made the NFC Championship. This team's contending for a bottom 5 pick, and you have to really try. You have to really try to go from a top 4 team in the NFL to a bottom 4 team in the NFL, and Dan Quinn has somehow managed to do that. And it's not just him. Adam Peters with an amazing offseason, obviously sarcasm there, just bringing in a bunch of 35-year-old pass rushers, bringing in, just keeping a bunch of old heads on the team. And that's what happens. This is what happens when you do that. We've had so many bad defenses here over the last 15 years since I've been watching really closely, and this is one of, if not the worst defense I've ever watched. And I cannot, Quan Martin has got to be up there with top 5, worst and most annoying players I've watched. I mean, he just, the penalty, just the unnecessary roughness or whatever penalty he had today, unsportsmanlike conduct, and then all the missed tackles. And then after the Bears game, which obviously that switched the momentum on our season, says, oh yeah, like that's a tackle I've made 1,000 times before. Well, guess what? You've missed that tackle 1,000 times before, because he ended up missing that tackle. I mean, I forgot in the Seahawks game, and just he sucks, man. Quan Martin sucks. I really want that guy off my team. I know what, not my team. You know what I'm saying, though. I think this was his 3rd year or 4th year, but he needs to be gone. He's not good. No one on this defense, really no one on this defense deserves to be back next year, like based off their play. Maybe their contract that's a little bit different. Like Daron Payne, fine. He's been fine. Javon Kinlaw's been fine, but he's been a little bit, below standard in my opinion over the last few weeks. And also, he hasn't really been getting pressure over the season. So I would like that to change a little bit, but he's been okay. And then, everyone else, though, like no one's been good. Johnny Newton, no. Von Miller, no. Dorrance Armstrong, yes, but, obviously he's not back anymore. I'm trying to think of anyone else. I mean, Mikey Sanders still, they're going to bring him back. He's going to stay on the team. He's a 2nd-round pick, and it's going to be his 3rd year next year. But the defense, man, it's ugly. Trey Amos, we'll see what he does, but he's been banged up with injuries, man. It really sucks. It seems like he has been, he's had a lot of injuries this year. Small injuries, but he's had a lot of injuries. So it really sucks. It sucks to watch this team because at least in the past, like let's say when we've been really bad, there's at least some young guys that you're like, all right, I want to see how this young guy does. I want to see how this young guy does. Like you have a bunch of young guys with potential. Man, the young talent on this team absolutely sucks, man. It really does. And that's the harsh reality of the situation, but you have to say it. Like, what young talent do you have on this team? You have Jaden Daniels, and that is it. There's a couple guys that have showed a little bit. Traylon Burks, I really like Traylon Burks, but he's just been a recent addition. We're going to give him time, but I like him. Jalen Lane, I mean, he's been up and down, but still, I mean, he had one catch today. It was a big catch, and it was a nice route, and he's shown some flashes. But still, like, look on both sides of the ball. Who excites you in terms of the young talent? I can't really find much. Maybe Connerly down the line. Defensively, I really can't find anything. Trey Amos, maybe. He's been, had a decent rookie year. Mikey Sanders still maybe if they, put him in the, if the scheme changes and that really helps them. But, that's the reality of the situation. The young talent on this team is awful. And yeah, it's not like they have a bunch of studs, playing behind these vets. They really don't, or else they would have been playing them. Yeah, I think they should be playing some of these guys a little bit more, but let's keep it real. They don't have studs on the bench. Like, Jordan McGee's been getting playing time. The defense has gotten worse. Like, I'm not saying he's the reason why, but he hasn't been amazing. Ben Sinnott, he had a touchdown today. Shout out to him, but still, one catch in the last few weeks for him. And I want to see him get more PT. He really hasn't gotten more opportunity, but a lot of the other younger guys have. And they really haven't shown a lot. So it really sucks, but more conversations need to be had about Adam Peters. But real quick, a word from today's sponsor. And a huge shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring today's video. Make sure you guys check them out. The latest sports news. They got fantasy sports on there as well, football and basketball and others. And also, you can win real money making picks on Sleeper. My Thursday night play did not work out too well. Unfortunately, Brock Bowers did end up selling there, and I believe there was one more. And Bo Nix, I don't think got over. Yeah, he didn't get over 1.5 passing touchdowns. But on to the next. But use promo code Pedro on Sleeper and get a 100% match up to $100. Link in the description. Terms and conditions apply. There's also a $20 free entry play as well that you guys can be a part of. All right, and again, a huge shout out to Sleeper there for sponsoring today's video. So we'll talk about a couple things in the game. I really didn't talk about the game much, just talked about the state of this team. Mariota was fine, 16-22, 213 yards, 2 touchdowns. Again, like I said, offense was fine. Bill wasn't that good. McNichols was fine. Rodriguez was fine. He had a touchdown. Ertz had a nice, really nice 30-yard catch. Like I said, Jalen Lane had a nice catch. Debo was decent, had a nice touchdown. He was wide open, but still. Shout out to him. And then John Bates and Ben Sinnott with 1 catch each. That was it on offense. Defensively, everyone else was booty cheeks. And then special teams-wise, they were fine. Tressway was fine. Noah Igbenogany had a nice punt return. And, yeah, that's really it. Defensively, there's not a lot of analysis to give. Just they suck. They really suck. And if Joe Witt is on this team next year, if he is coaching this team, I don't know how you can be serious about wanting to win, because he sucks. He should not be a defensive coordinator, because yes, the talent isn't great. But first of all, he's part of the decision making in terms of what talent comes in. He's not the end all be all, but like, defensive coordinators have a say in who gets brought in. Just like the Commanders, or just like Cliff Kingsbury really wanted them to draft Josh Connolly. The defensive coordinator has say, so that's part of it. And also, yes, they're not good, but we've seen, like, the Lions, for example, them against the Bucks that week. They had no one in the secondary, and they still shut down Emeka Egbuka and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So it's doable, and it's not like they have absolutely no talent here. In the secondary, Mike Sanderson, 2nd round pick from last year. Trey Amos, 2nd round pick from this year. Jonathan Jones has been a solid veteran in the past. Same thing with Marshawn Lattimore. Like, at the end of the day, it's your job to coach these guys up. Frankie Louvu was an All-Pro last year, and Bobby Wagner was good last year. I believe an All-Pro as well, or a Pro Bowler. So and I'm not saying those guys have been good this year and that they're not at fault, but it's definitely on the coordinator as well. And you add more to the defense from last year, and it wasn't good last year, but it was nowhere near this bad, and it got so much worse, which doesn't make sense. And in my opinion, that's on the coaching, and it needs to change. And he can stay for the rest of the year, whatever. It really doesn't matter at this point. It might be better for the team that he's on the team, just because they're going to be worse and they'll get a better draft pick. So that's the one good thing about this season is, it would suck if they ended up getting 7 wins on the season, or 6 wins, or 5 wins. And I'm not gonna make a freaking 6-7 joke. Like, don't even get me started on Jonathan Vilma during the halftime, or during the third quarter, during the interview with Kenny Albert and Trump. I don't know what he was doing. He's making 6-7 jokes, and that was absolutely pathetic. What are we doing there? What are we doing? So Jonathan Vilma, and the whole time, most of the game at least, he was awful. Him and Kenny Albert, I think they're the worst broadcast possible. The amount of misses that like Albert will have with, all right, Jalen Lane just caught a pass and it's Traylon Burks. Like, just stuff like that, man. It really gets on my nerves. And Jonathan Vilma has just always been pretty bad as well. But it is what it is. The Commanders suck, so that the announcing is the least of the worries. But yeah, that's it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and peace.